We are sitting down with the attorney representing a potential key witness in the Sean Combs criminal case because he is right now in a mounting legal fight with the music mogul's sons. Christian and Quincy Combs are reportedly trying to stop the sale of a book about their late mother, Kim Porter.
A bizarre moment has completely taken over social media, and it all began with a claim so strange that people didn't know whether to laugh, question it, or start digging deeper. Within hours of the clip surfacing online, millions were replaying the same few seconds over and over again, trying to figure out what they had just seen.
Another interesting side wrinkle in the Sean Diddy Combs case we got to talk about. You remember Courtney Burgess? We've talked about him before. He is the purported witness who testified in front of the grand jury, currently hearing new evidence in the Sean Combs criminal case. If you recall, Burgess went on Banfield on News Nation, and he revealed that he was given 11 flash drives that contain alleged sex tapes involving Combs and celebrities. And he said, of the 8 celebrities on the tapes, those who are victims of Sean Combs, they're not perpetrators, victims, he said 2 or 3 were minors, which, as you know, is consistent with a number of allegations in the civil lawsuits that Sean Combs is currently facing. To be clear, though, Combs is currently not criminally charged with anything with respect to minors. That could change, but right now he's just charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, transportation to engage in prostitution, but all with respect to adult victims. If there's a superseding indictment, he gets hit with new charges, possibly about victims, we shall see. But this is what brings me to what we're talking about right now. So, Mr. Burgess has claimed that he got these flash drives from the late girlfriend of Sean Combs, Kim Porter, who, as we know, tragically died several years back from what authorities concluded was lobar pneumonia. And that is despite the fact that there have been rumors, both online and in the media, that there is something more to her death. And that, to be clear, totally unsubstantiated. That has been debunked. We've talked about it here on Sidebar multiple times. But putting that to the side, here is the other thing with Mr. Burgess. He apparently says he owns the rights to a book that was reportedly based on the alleged memoir of Kim Porter. In fact, according to TMZ, Burgess' phone was seized by the feds, and on it was a copy of a flash drive with material that was used in this book. Here's the problem. Christian and Quincy Combs, these are the sons of Diddy and Kim Porter. Quincy's actually adopted by Diddy. But they are reportedly fighting back, and they have sent Burgess a cease and desist letter to prevent the further sale of this book. They argue this is just an attempt to capitalize on Porter's fame and that they own the rights to her IP, her intellectual property, like her diary entries, her potential manuscript. As her heirs, they own it. And they also want an accounting of current sales of the book. To be clear, though, they aren't acknowledging that there is, in fact, a long-lost memoir from their mother. In fact, they've actually denied that before when there was a similar book, a derivative work, we'll talk about that, published by this guy named Chris Todd on Amazon. They were adamantly fighting against that. They said that their mother wouldn't write this. But what they're basically saying is if something should exist, they own it. Burgess has responded, saying he owns the copyright in the book, that Porter gave him the rights to this manuscript, that the brothers are making, quote, a pathetic attempt, a, quote, desperate ploy to extort him, and this shows how bad their financial situation is, and he reportedly even suggests that Sean Combs is probably behind this. So a lot of back and forth between both sides, and I want to sort it out and at least get one side of the story on this. So with that, I want to bring in Ariel Mitchell. Thank you so much for taking the time. It's great to meet you. So the first question I had when I was reading about this, is this book from your client the same book as the one that was published by Chris Todd a few months ago? That was the one that was on Amazon before it was removed by Amazon. What's the connection there?
Yeah, so Chris did get the book from Courtney. Courtney has a more thorough copy of the book. When Chris published the book that was on Amazon, it was edited. So some
people were trying to make sense of what had just been said. The statement itself sounded simple, but the implications behind it felt massive. During a conversation that was quickly recorded and spread across multiple platforms, a well-known comedian seemed to suggest that a legendary comedy actor had somehow been cloned. What made it even more confusing was the way it was said. Calm, confident, almost matter of fact. Viewers were left wondering, Was it a joke, a metaphor, or was something meant to be taken seriously? Almost instantly, the internet split into two sides. One group dismissed it as obvious exaggeration, pointing out that comedians often use extreme ideas to highlight deeper truths about the entertainment industry. From their perspective, the word cloned wasn't literal. It was just a dramatic way of describing how much a public figure can change over time. But the other side saw it very differently. To them, it didn't sound like a joke at all. Instead, they treated it as a cryptic hint, something that might be pointing to what really happens behind the scenes in the world of celebrities.
The passages were removed, some of the pictures were removed, and I think there was like a forward or something that was added to the book. So it is a different version, but from the same, what in copyright law is called derivative work. So it derives from that work that Courtney has.
And just to be clear, Courtney's work, Courtney's book, is it currently being sold anywhere?
I'm not exactly sure. I believe Courtney has I was about to say, here's a woo woo, welcome to downtown Miami. But I believe he is selling it on a website. I only came into that knowledge when I received the cease and desist letter from Quincy and Christian.
Got it. And in terms of the content of the book, what is this book about, the one from your client?
So I haven't taken the time to read the book either, but to my understanding, it's Kim Porter's memoir. So it's basically Kim Porter's stories. I haven't read, I shouldn't say that, I haven't read the entire book. I have read several excerpts from the book, several pages from the book. I haven't had time to sit down and read it in its entirety. But to my understanding, it purports to be from Kim Porter about experiences Kim Porter had.
And why do you think Christian and Quincy are so opposed to this coming out? Because they were opposed to the Chris Todd, as you said, derivative work coming out. They opposed to this. What is it about this piece of work that they're so opposed to it?
Well, first it's talking about their father. And, you know, for even Quincy, that's his stepfather, but that's really the only father he knows. So, and then Christian, that's his doppelganger. Like, Christian and Diddy look exactly alike. So, and then you think about the other piece of it. Their father is the one who gave them money, wealth, fame. So you want to protect that at all costs, even if you know your father did something bad or wrong. I also feel like they don't have any identities without their father. So for their father to go down for this, and what child wants to think this about their parent? Think that their parent was this kind of heinous monster. So I think we have to maybe put ourselves in position how we would feel if this was one of our parents, and what would we do in this?
Sean Combs was abusive towards Kim Porter. Does it suggest that, does it amplify this message that we've seen online that there's more to Kim Porter's death than meets the eye? I just want to be clear about what this book from your client really says.
So again, I'm going to reiterate, I have not read the entirety of the book. But from what I have read, it does support the allegations that have been made by Cassie, the allegations that have been made by the federal government, and the allegations that have been made by my clients, Tyrone Blackburn's clients, Tony Busby's clients. Everybody is saying the same thing. And Kim Porter, I feel like we were only willing to hear these things once Cassie came out. And now we are starting to see from Kim Porter's experience that these were the exact same experiences.
So the main question that people would have here is, why would Kim Porter give